Alright, hey guys, Smack here. Here with another episode of For My Son. I'm drinking Jackalope Bear Walker. Just give me 1 second. Today, as I talked about the other day, I am going to do an episode. I was going to tell you about my friend Lee, because I was talking about friendship and stuff like that, and so I kind of wanted to. It goes into that. Um, so I used to have this friend. Used to. I don't know what else. I'm doing stuff because I'm nervous. I had this friend. His name is Lee. You'll never meet him, sadly. Um, but he was a good friend, and we I met him. Let's see, gosh, third grade. I want to say. I met him third grade. Um, Met him on the bus, and this is which before I met his sister, which so his sister was Kat, which from my previous videos I've talked about her. Um, and so I met him first, and I remember one time he was sitting with me and she was picking on him, and I stood up for him or something like that, and he talked about it like all the time. I don't know. Um, but wow, yeah, look at that. Um, so I stood up for him, and then we just kind of talked on the bus every now and then. So fast forward, I started going to the skating rink because there was a skating rink down the road, and we would all hang out there and stuff, and that's where I met Kat. It was like years later after riding the bus with her, or not years, but sometime. I guess years later because she didn't wear the glasses anymore, and she had gotten more into the goth scene, and we were all into the goth scene. Which is why I say, hey man, express yourself, do whatever you gotta do. I did it, dude. I wore the spike collars, I did all that, Um, and so I started hanging out with her a lot. Me and my brother Joe, your Uncle Joe, started hanging out with her, and then Truman would go to skating and stuff. But would start hanging out with her. Of course, I was infatuated with her, or whatever. Like infatuated. I don't know. That might be the wrong word to use. There's a better word. I had a crush on her. That's it. I had a crush on her. I got a huge crush on her for the longest time. I mean, for the longest time. We're talking about even like up until before, I guess. I mean, I don't know. It was after high school. Like I don't know why. I liked her. I don't know why. I guess because she was cool and pretty, and so whatever. But Truman, your Uncle Moo ended up dating her, which I'm sorry that I'm telling you this, and they made me don't want me to, but yeah, he did. He ended up dating her, and I was so jealous of him. I was. I think it almost came between us at one point in time. I don't know. But anyway, so um, I started going over. I'd go over her house all the time. Me and Joe would go over to her house all the time and hang out with her. And her parents would go to the Halloween parties and stuff, and they would party, man, and like they'd have live band and all kinds of stuff. It would just spend. We would ride our bikes over to her house and hang out, on the weekends and stuff all the time, just to hang out with her. Of course, me, I just wanted to be around her because I had a crush on her. But then she started dating Truman, so I kind of quit hanging out as much, and then came back around. Um, we really were just looking for an excuse to, well, smoke weed. But um, I really hope you watch this when you're older, and I'm not telling you this when you're like 12 or something, or 8. Anyways, um, so we would, I'd hang out with her. Well, after being around her, her brother, of course, Lee, I'd go into his room sometimes and hang out with him, and just talk to him and stuff, because he was my friend too. At least I did, they would make fun of him and stuff, and I always felt bad for him, because I hated kids that got picked on, but I never stood up that much for them when they were around, as much as I should have. I tried to a little bit, but and I think he glorified some of the stuff. I did stick up a couple times, but never as big as he would have made it out to be. But that was Lee, that was him. He would just always, you were always the greatest thing he could ever know. He always made you feel special, and I think that's just because he wanted to feel special, and he was, and he didn't see it. But anyways, so would start hanging out with him, and go in his room and talk to him and stuff. And then finally, I quit hanging out with his sister, and the and how did it start? It's hanging out with his sister as much, I'd say. His parents had some problems, and they ended up splitting and stuff. And I know I'm talking about other people's information, but no one's gonna watch this. I mean, come on, nobody's gonna ever see this, so except for you. So, they ended up splitting, and it happens. And so I'd go and see Kat every now and then, and eventually, somehow we started hanging out again, me and him, just me and him. And I don't know how. I don't remember how it's just like it fell into place, But it led into senior year of high school. I started going to Mount Juliet High School, and I remember just senior of high school. He lived down the road from me, so I'd give him a ride to school sometimes and from school most of the time. Sometimes we just come back to my house and hang out, and um, and it was just, that was, senior year of high school is the greatest year of in school ever that you'll ever have. No, okay, I lied. So, it was for me, because it was just like the group of people that I had to hang out with, my friends. It was the best time of my life, and it was before a lot of messed up stuff happened. Now, I'm not saying that you're not having you was it was a different kind of greatest time. It was the greatest time of my youth. So I don't want that to diminish. Don't want you to think that I don't. I love you. Everything about that. It's a different kind of thing, and you'll understand that when you get older and you go through these experiences. There are things that was the greatest time of my youth, my greatest time of my life before you, and then you know what I'm saying. So I don't know what this, being an idiot. Okay, but anyways, so we would hang out all the time, me and Lee, and he'd come to my house pretty much all the time, and there were times he would get into it with his dad, and I'd come pick him up in the middle of the night, and we'd go riding around, and then we'd come home and smoke some weed, and then there'd be nights we'd go drink. There's pictures that I'll have to see if I can find. I don't know if I still have them. I think I still do. I think they're in an email from your mom, because I got your mom to email them because they were on a phone. Anyways, of us drinking together, me, him, and Joe, man, drinking. We were in the hut, in the pool house, or the hut as we called it. We're not rich, okay? So if anybody's watching this, it's a pool house that we got someone to build very cheap, and luckily we're just very fortunate. But not like a pool house like some people would think. But anyways, I lived out there. I lived in the pool house, in the hut. So we all called it the hut. And he'd come out there, and man, he stayed the night at my house so many times, man, so many times. Slept. I had a futon. It was because it's big. I had a futon that sat in front of my TV, which is the old two TVs that had my Xbox 360 hooked up to, and then I had a desk where I had an iMac. My dad bought me as a graduation. I was so fortunate for that. Like, he bought me an iMac. Like, it was a big bad iMac because I was going to art school, man, and I was gonna be some great graphic designer. And yeah. And then I had my bed, man, and I remember waking up and Lee's on the futon, or and sometimes even Joe would be on the futon because we'd get too drunk. I mean, we didn't drink as much back then. It was more just smoke and play video games, man. That was our thing, man. We just smoke, get really high, and play video games. And that was Lee, man. I remember, and I told this story at his funeral, that we were partying, and one night was well, no. We were partying, and there was one night where he got really drunk and went and freaking laid on the deck with his head hanging over the stairs and was puking with his boots on. And then all of a sudden, and I can't remember which party this was, but and then all of a sudden, bam, he got done puking, and all of a sudden he was back in it. I never knew he left, but they all told me the next day, like, he puked and came back and was drinking. I never knew he left. I never knew that happened, but he had his boots on. No wait. I think that was the time he passed out with his boots on the deck, and we had to get him inside. And then another time that he did that and came back and was partying with us. There was my 19th birthday party. Me, him, and Joe, and Tim Chin, and Greg were all drinking whiskey. We've been drinking this bottle of whiskey, and I think we ended up finally getting some beer, waiting for everybody to get off work and stuff. And I don't know, we were just all hanging out in the hut, listening to music and drinking. And Lee's dad shows up, and with his buddy, and his buddy's plastered, man. He's like, "Can I get a shot?" We give him a shot. Next thing you know, he smacks against the door and slides down, ripping my blinds. Man, so many stories, man. But I mean, Lee was just that, but he was always there for me. There was a time I tripped shrooms, and everybody left, because I had a bad trip, man, and it was terrible. I saw Hitler on the ceiling and everything, and like was tripping out and was like sitting on my bed staring at everyone and kept repeating the same thing. Like, I was in a mania, man, like crazy. And they left. Joe left. My other buddy left, and they all went to do something else, And I woke up, and like, I remember waking up and just being like, what the fuck's going on? Nobody's here, And I look over and I'm like, hello? And then Lee's like, I'm here, man, He was the only one there, and I was like, dude, I'm back, And he was like, dude, you were messed up, And he was the only one that wasn't tripping. He was like our babysitter. And he was like, but he stayed there to make sure I was okay, He was always there for me. And there's been many times we wrestled in the pool one night, got really drunk, wrestled in the pool because he was going to be a Marine. And I wish he would have done it. He would not be dead if he would have became a Marine. If he would have done what I told him, do it, man. You should be a Marine. Get out of here. Get out of this place. That's what he needed, was to get out of here. But, sometimes, things happen, but we got drunk and we're wrestling in the pool about it. I was like, here, you're going to be a Marine. We'd always, and he always respected me and treated me like a big brother. He called my mom, because he'd come over and she'd feed him, and he was always invited to everything that we did, and it didn't matter. It was Lee, man. Lee was Lee. And, he was one of, like your Uncle Moo Truman, and Joe and Greg. He's one of those that I loved him, man. I loved him like a brother. I remember he used to help me clean my room. When I moved back from Louisiana, he was there for me, spending a lot of time with me here, you know. Come stay the night at the house, we'd drink and or smoke or play video games or whatever and just talk. So, I mean, me and him spent a lot of time. We just talk, man. Talk about what we wanted to do. Talk about problems at home or whatever. And I try to give him advice. I remember one time he took some pills at school, and cause I used to be, I still am kind of, I mean, I was against pills, you know, cause I got in trouble for it. It's because pills aren't worth it. They're not worth anything that, I mean, you know, I'm taking medication now, but I'm only doing it because a doctor, it's helping me with some problems that I'm having, but I really don't want to be taking them because I hate pills. I hate what they do to people. But he was, you know, especially if you abuse them, you shouldn't abuse them. Use them for what they're for, not don't abuse them. You know, they're, you know, like weed, you know, can be recreational. Booze is recreational, but pills, man, that's something it's a whole nother thing that you just don't need to mess with. So, but he took a pill, man, and I remember I was like, because I always told him I have a 3 strike rule, okay, 3 strikes, so you know, and you're out, you're not my friend anymore, you know, I'm gonna give you 3 strikes. And I remember telling him in the driveway, I was just like, I was going into him. I was dad mode. If you've ever, well, I know you've seen me go into dad mode. Well, hope if you know, or you remember me going into dad mode if I'm dead. But I went into dad mode. I was like, dude, do not ever. This is strike number 2, man. You got one more chance, and do not. I don't want you doing these pills again. Quit. Don't do pills, man. I told you don't do them. I'm sure he did them again, you know, but he's his own man. But I remember he that stayed in his memory though. It stayed in his memory, and at least probably kept him from getting too bad off into him. I always try to keep him in line though, man, and protect him and do as much as I could. But you know, we fell apart a little bit when I started dating your mom. Not just because it's not her fault. No, it's like I just was hanging out with her and her brother, you know, your uncle and Truman all the time, and I just didn't spend a lot of time with my other friends because I was having fun with them, and you know, I just wasn't paying attention to, you know, I had other friends that I could have spent time with too, but you know, hey, that's stuff happens, man. Things happen. And then I got the call. You know, I remember I was on the way to work, UPS, and I got a call, and my mom was calling me, and she said, you know, hey, you know, have you talked to Lee? Do you know what's going on with him? And I said no, and she said do you know what? Hey, do you know what's going? How did it go? It's like, do you know what's going on with Lee? And I was like, Lee, no. What? She's like, Cheyenne's here, and she just told me that he's dead. I said, he's dead? What do you mean? You know, like Lee Page? She said, yeah, he's dead. You know, he killed himself. I said, no, really? And I got on Facebook, and everybody was talking about it on Facebook and posting on his page and everything. I went into work, and I was in shock all day, and I told my boss, I was like, I'm sorry, man, I'm out of it. I think my best friend just killed himself, you know? And, but I mean, it happens. And I wish it didn't. And it made me very sad. But I did get the honor of speaking at his funeral. And I think I gave a great speech. I don't know. People said it was good. I don't know. I don't remember it. It was like shock, you know. And then, but I remember after finding out, I went, man, and I'll be honest, you know, and you'll understand this, that moms have this effect. I saw my mom, and I remember she came, and first thing she did was give me a hug, and I cried. I was good until she gave me a hug. Until I saw her and she hugged me and I cried. I started crying, and I just cried and cried and cried and cried. And, you know, men cry. Sorry, but men cry. And if they say they don't, then they ain't a real man. It happens. But I cried, man, because that was my best friend, you know. They say, you know, I say best friend is such like a misnomer or whatever, you know. It's like you can have more than one best friend, so they're technically not a best friend, but whatever. he's my best friend, you know, and he was gone. And he made a decision that he took his own life. Instead, it's not like, I had another buddy that died in a car accident. That was, it was his fault, but it happened. It was not him saying, I'm going to kill myself. And he gave up. And he shouldn't have, because he had so much to give this world. And that I wish he would have talked to me. I wish he would have called me. I wish more than anything that I could have been there. And I wish that he would have just said, hey, there would have been one more time that he would have called me in the middle of the night and said, hey, Matt, can you come pick me up? Because I would have, man. I hope so. I hope I would have, I would. I've done it before, It's what do you I mean? Why didn't he call me and I would have come? In the middle of the night. I've come and got him so many times in the middle of the night, and we remember all drove around and talked and everything, And see, it still affects me this day, but it's done, and it's what happens. But son, I want you to understand, people are gonna come and they're gonna go. But if you're ever going through anything, you talk to someone. And let them know what you're going through, because your friends want to be there for you, your family wants to be there for you. Don't make a decision like that, because it affects everybody. Now I have to go and never be able to see that friend. And I made a promise to him that we were going to go to California together. And I don't have anything of his anymore. I used to have some stuff. His dad gave me some, like, movies, his boots. I used to have his boots. I used to have a bandana that I wore, or that I stole when I was with him. Yes, I shoplifted. I was a kid. I was dumb, okay? That I wore to his funeral. It was like a weird bandana thing. I put it in my pocket because it was in memory of him, but and then tied it in my car for a while. That thing's long gone probably. But I don't really have anything. I think I still have a cigar case that he gave me. But maybe his dad will let me have some of his ashes, but because I promised him that we would go to California. And I'm going to California. I'm going to see that beach, and I'm going to do it for him before I die. If that's next year or tomorrow, hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's at least next year before I die. I gotta go to California, man, for him. This is one thing. Remember your promises that you made. But anyways, I just wanted to talk to you about, my friend Lee, because I want you to know that things are going to happen, and you're going to have friends, and they're going to leave you one way or another. But, deal with it. Deal with it emotionally, and don't seek out drugs or alcohol to kill the pain. Feel the pain. Feel it. Feel it in its entirety, and then move past it. Learn to move past it, because it's going to happen. But also, I just wanted you to know about one of the best people I've ever known. I know a lot of great people, but he's definitely up there, in one of the people I've known that is great. And he was a great friend. So I wanted you to know about him. And I probably will talk to you more about him later. Maybe I'll remember some other stories. But anyways, I'm going to end this episode. I love you, son. And I always will. Alright. Later, guys.